Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? It is Vegas Take time, and it is also Hump Day. Welcome, Sharp and Shapiro. Back at you. Gonna have a little bit of fun today. Yeah, we got a huge lineup for you. A lot of guests. It is Winning Wednesdays with C. Win. He is joining us in studio.
What's up?
Yeah, man, and we got a lot to get to. We are also streaming live on YouTube, the Vegas Take YouTube page. Check us out. Coming up at the bottom of the hour here. What's that? That's like in 25 minutes. We'll be joined by the former governor of Massachusetts. He has decided to enter the Democratic presidential race. He is Deval Patrick, and rumors are circulating that it was Barack Obama that pushed him to enter the race. So we'll ask him about that coming up here in just a few minutes. Have you heard about this controversy? The rodeo was in town, and we had these pigeons with these cowboy hats that were strapped to their heads or glued onto their heads. Well, a woman by the name of Mariah Hillard, she is from a group called Lofty Hopes Pigeon Rescue. They found two of these pigeons. They're looking for a third one. It's a stakeout for a third pigeon.
Is the APB out on a pigeon? Right
I believe it is. This is funny, but it's also serious and sad that there are people that are harming these pigeons. It's not good, and it's a crime. So she's going to be joining us coming up in hour number 2 to talk about that. Now, who could forget the days of Saturday Night Live, Night at the Roxbury? This guy is so funny. The little head bob back and forth. Very funny comedian. He's going to be at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club this week. He is none other than Chris Kattan. He'll be joining us in hour number 3. And Brian Barson is from Stop.
Yeah, Brian Barlow.
Brian Barlow. Well, our idiot producer doesn't know how to spell. He does it to me every morning. He has the worst handwriting in the world, and then he yells at me like it's my fault. Can somebody turn around and take a look at that name? Go ahead, turn around and take a look at that name. Does that look like Brian Barlow to you?
It actually very much does.
It does look
but
like
you know what?
Brian
but
Barlow.
But you know,
I'm wearing
JD
sunglasses.
and campaign.
I don't know
you know
how
what the
got
problem is that
Barson out of that either.
No, you know what the problem is though is that Brian seems to feel the need to wear shades in the studio.
I do because I have an eye issue.
Situation?
Yeah,
he has an eye issue.
I'm going blind.
He also just joined a motorcycle gang.
So anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because if you harass a referee, you can get hit with jail time or up to a $10,000 fine. So we're going to talk to Brian about that coming up in a little bit. By the way, he runs a website where if you give him a video of, a fan or a parent abusing an official, he'll pay you $100. It's a very, very funny website. So Brian will be joining us coming up in hour number 3. So as I said, a lot to get to, a lot to go over. But if you're not aware right now, the president is about to get impeached. It is a historic day for the country. It is a sad day for the country, but it is a day that we all expected. We talked about this months ago. I said, look, the president's going to get impeached for that, but he's not going to get thrown out. It's not going to go through the Senate because I believe we have a lot of Republicans, many Republicans that don't have a backbone, that are supporting the president through thick and thin, or in the president's body type through thick. Anyway, that's another story. But listen, I want to talk, I don't like talking about other presidents and comparing and whataboutism and all this other thing. But you know what? I'm going to make an exception today because I liked Bill Clinton. I thought he was a good president, but he lied. Listen, he lied. He got caught lying. And I would make the argument that what he did with Monica Lewinsky, cheating on his wife, is never a good thing. Donald Trump is the king of that, of infidelity. But I think what he did is far less, I guess you could say, far less
Important.
bad. Yeah, important, bad, whatever.
In the scheme of things.
Yeah, it's far less worse than, in my opinion, what the president did in that phone call with the Ukrainians. And no, Mr. President, it was not a perfect phone call. I know he keeps saying that. So the president tweets out today. Of course, there were spelling errors in the tweet, but here's what he said. He said, "Can you believe that I'll be impeached today by the radical left?" Yeah, because the right's certainly not radical, Mr. President. The do-nothing Democrats. I did nothing wrong. No, you did, Mr. President. You did do something wrong. He says it's a terrible thing. Read the transcripts. We did read the transcripts. In fact, many of the people that support the president did not read the transcripts. This should, and by the way, he spells should, S-H-O-I-L-D. Does he spell check? He's the president of the United States. This should...
Shoiled?
Shoiled. This shoiled never happened to another president again. Say a prayer. The last thing he says is say a prayer. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I want to play you something for you Trump supporters out there. This was the day before Bill Clinton got impeached. This is what he said to the country. This was in December of 1998. I want you to have a good, hard listen. This is Bill Clinton when he got caught lying the day before he was impeached.
What I want the American people to know, what I want the Congress to know, is that I am profoundly sorry for all I have done wrong in words and deeds. I never should have misled the country, the Congress, my friends, or my family. Quite simply, I gave in to my shame.
There is Bill Clinton in his own words. Now, you can say, well, he had to apologize. No, he didn't. President Trump has attacked people for no reason. President Trump has done a lot of things in office that he shouldn't have done, that he should have apologized for. In fact, even when he was running for president, when he said grab women by the P word, when he said that in that audio, originally he made a quick apology but said it was locker room talk and made excuses for it. And then the next day he said, well, that might not be my voice. And he kind of retracted his apology. Okay, can you imagine Donald Trump ever apologizing the way Bill Clinton apologized in that speech? Never. And you could certainly make the case that Donald Trump misleads the American people every single day. That was Bill Clinton, in my personal opinion, speaking from the heart. He knew he got caught. He had to apologize to his family, to the country, for lying, basically, for lying and having an affair with an intern. In this case, it was Monica Lewinsky. But the point I'm trying to make here is this, and I think it's a very simple point. Donald Trump never apologizes for anything. And I personally believe, even if the apology comes, too little too late, if you apologize from the heart, look, anybody can apologize, right? It's only a word. I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean anything unless you mean it yourself personally. I believe in that speech that Bill Clinton made, he truly meant it. You could see it in his face. He apologized. He was sorry for what he did. I don't believe Donald Trump has ever done that, ever in his life, let alone in his presidency. He will never apologize for this phone call. He calls it a perfect phone call. He still calls it a perfect phone call. If the president went up there and said, look, I could have chosen my words differently. For that, I apologize. Look, I still would have thought what he did was wrong, but he will never do that.
Look, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong.
Did that phone call compromise his marriage, Brian? I mean, I think the phone call, and obviously Bill Clinton needed to apologize for that. He received oral sex as president of the United States, as married president of the United States, while he was in the office. I'm just saying it's a much different situation than Donald Trump having a conversation with a foreign leader.
His marriage, though.
Okay, but
what does that
first
have to
of
do
all, his marriage has nothing to do with it, but I will comment on that and say, what about the $120,000 payment that he made to Stormy Daniels? He never apologized for that. That certainly affected his marriage.
That was well in advance of him being president of the United States.
No, it was a week before the elections, excuse me.
In advance.
It was a week before the elections and broke campaign finance law.
Being president of the United States. It was before he was president of the United States.
He never apologized for it. All right, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, guys. Brian, you just ran the clip of President Clinton back in the late 90s. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yesterday he was addressed. Donald Trump was addressed as far as if he thought he was culpable when it came to this whole impeachment thing. I believe it was Jim Acosta from CNN asked him the question and said, look, do you feel responsible whatsoever for the fact that you're going to get impeached tomorrow? And he went into a temper tantrum where he said absolutely not, and I can't even say that strongly enough. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if Johnny has the clip, but President Trump actually responded to your point, Brian, as far as Donald Trump. Does he apologize? Not only does he not apologize, the guy takes on the offensive. He goes back. He gets fired up. He gets pissed off.
And this is I'm glad you brought that up because this brings me to my next point, and that is the ridiculous, childish letter that Donald Trump sent to Nancy Pelosi. So David Gergen, who is a CNN political analyst, pretty respected guy, he had this response to the letter on CNN.
I think right now it's going to go down as a letter from a two-bit dictator to banana republic. It has that kind of quality to it. But you just, think about our history and the people we've had, the men of letters who've been in that office. You mentioned the Gettysburg Address. Well, think about Donald Trump's letters and this letter and his other pronouncements going up against Jefferson, going up against Lincoln on the second inaugural, or Gettysburg, going up against Franklin Roosevelt and the fireside chats, Jack Kennedy in his inaugural, Ronald Reagan at Pointe du Hoc. This is going to be in those annals.
Well, I tend to agree.
Great point.
Yeah, he makes a very valid point there. This is the way the president responds. And I always talk about character. And, 95% of the reason why I just despise this man, that is Donald Trump. And this is the reason. He has zero character. He takes no accountability or responsibility for any mistakes that he makes in his life or his presidency. And this is just another perfect example of that. The man has no shame. He attacks Nancy Pelosi the other day on her teeth, her looks. He attacks any woman of power based on her looks. He's done it time and time again, attacking POWs. I've gone over this before, attacking Gold Star families, attacking immigrants. It is ridiculous. And it is an insane 6-page letter that we have since posted on our Twitter page. You can check it out at thevegastake.com. This is a sad day. It also is a historic day. Forget about the Democrats for a second, for you right-wing biased people out there. Forget about Schiff and all the people on the left that you don't like. This is very simple, and I'm going to say it in layman's terms. What the president did in that phone call was nothing perfect. There was nothing perfect about that phone call. There's nothing perfect about sending Rudy Giuliani over the air numerous times. By the way, he also is in the Ukraine right now. There's nothing perfect about that. There's nothing perfect about Gordon Sondland and many that work in the Donald Trump administration, some who have Purple Hearts that are saying they were extremely concerned by this. There's nothing perfect about Sondland saying there was a quid pro quo. There's nothing perfect about the president of the United States not allowing certain witnesses to testify, including Mulvaney and Bolton. If you have absolutely nothing to hide, then you say to yourself, let them all testify because I'm not guilty. Okay? And stop it with this crap that the reason why Donald Trump is obstructing Congress is because he doesn't think this process is fair. That is BS. That is like a murderer that, killed a couple people, and there are witnesses, that saw the crime happen. But, the prosecution, now you wouldn't be able to do this in the courtroom, but the prosecution won't let them testify because they think the process is unfair. That's really what we're talking about here. It is insane. It is ridiculous. And for those out there that won't even admit that what the president did was wrong, what he did in that phone call was wrong, his behavior is wrong, it is absurd. And people like Lindsey Graham and others that are out there have sold their soul to the fat orange man, and it is disgusting. And I'm sick and tired of it. Admit that this man's behavior is atrocious and it is unacceptable. I'm not talking about policy. This has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with whether there's an R or a D next to his name. You can make the argument that Donald Trump most of his life has been a Democrat anyway, who supported the Clintons. This has nothing to do with the fact that he is a Republican. So don't you give me this crap. It's got nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that this man has no shame. He is a coward who dodged the military, who goes after people that are not only more heroic than him, which, wouldn't take much, but he goes after people that are real people, powerful people, intelligent people. And he does this day in and day out because he is probably one of the most insecure, petulant presidents, if not the most insecure that we have ever had in office. And it is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute joke. So don't you call in and say, make excuses for this guy, how great the economy is doing, how black unemployment numbers are down. That is completely academic to what has taken place today. Don't blame Democrats for what's going on right now. Many people on the right are making excuses and calling them the do-nothing Democrats. Make no mistake about it. The reason why the president is going to be impeached today, and the only reason why the president is going to impeach, is for his own personal behavior, for himself. And as you guys just alluded to, he has not owned up to it.
You don't think the Democrats have it out for him and have had it out for him since he became president of the United States?
Whether the let me
answer. They're Democrats.
Well, let me answer the question.
Well, you're making it seem like it was all just because of this call.
Let me answer that.
Because he committed impeachable offense.
It's a very simple. Can I answer that question?
Obviously, the left-wing media, despite the fact that if Donald Trump, here's what's crazy.
Can I just answer that and I'll let you roll? Can I just answer that question?
Give me 1 second. If Donald Trump is impeached by both the House and the Senate, and he is removed from office, the ratings of CNN.
Not talking about ratings.
We're talking about,
I am talking about ratings. I'm talking about how
the
media has been pushing this guy, has been pushing how poor of a president this guy is and how bad of a human being this guy is. But if he is removed from office, the media is different.
That's a different conversation.
The media's bottom line will be affected.
That is a
60 or 65%.
I guess that's true.
First of all, I'll let you respond. But
I don't know why they are literally taking a dump where they eat. It makes no sense.
Let me give out the number, which is 702-257-5785. 257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to join the conversation, 257-5396. That's a separate conversation, but I will say this. You started the conversation by saying, the Democrats, had it in for him. Okay, for 8 years, Republicans had it in for Barack Obama. Hold on, let me finish. Republicans had it in for Barack Obama for 8 years, but last I checked, Barack Obama was never impeached. And the reason why Barack Obama was never impeached, because he never did anything. Hold on, let me finish. He never did anything in office for Republicans to get him impeached. Do you understand the difference, JD? You don't think if Barack Obama did anything to the same level of Donald Trump, you don't think Republicans would be all over it trying to get him out of there? The reason why they didn't do that is because Obama never withheld aid for political gain.
When Barack Obama, right now, if you wanted to find, and I ask every single person listening to the show right now to do this, if you wanted to find out good things that Donald Trump has done in his presidency, you would have to go to a Reddit thread. You have to search in reddit.com. If you typed in Donald Trump good things or Donald Trump on Google, the first 21 pages would be negative articles about Donald Trump. That was not the case with Barack Obama when he was president.
Really? On Fox News?
Absolutely not.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm saying the first 21 pages of Google will show you nothing positive about Donald Trump.
You're not addressing.
I don't understand why does this come back to Barack Obama, though? I don't understand the comparisons to Barack Obama. Donald Trump is the third president today that's going to be impeached in the history of this country, and now we're talking about the culpability of Barack Obama and should he have been impeached or not impeached? Look, if Barack Obama, I'm not a hardcore Democrat, okay? I'm someone who would can look at this through clear lenses, okay? If Barack Obama committed impeachable offenses, Barack Obama should have been impeached. Donald Trump committed impeachable offenses with obstruction of Congress and also abuse of power. He's going to get impeached. I don't understand why this has to be. It's all the Democrats. The only reason, JD, are you saying that the reason he's getting impeached is because the Democrats have it out for him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's definitely part of the conversation.
Let's take some phone calls. What do you think out there? 257-5396. Let's go to Ian. Ian, you're first up on the Vegas take. Go, Ian. What's on your mind, my friend? Do we have Ian on the line? Ian, go ahead.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Yeah, so it's like I'm in the Wayback Machine here. We've gone back 20 years with what you're saying about how this man is being impeached because of he's a bad man and all the bad things he's done, and it's his character and everything.
No, he's
hold
not.
on a second.
He's being impeached for impeachable offenses.
Chris, hang on.
Let me finish
Ian,
my thought.
Ian, wait. I will let you finish your thought, but if you say something that is not factually...
that's ridiculous. We're going to call you out.
Okay, Ian, I never said...
But Brian,
let me finish.
There's factually accurate, and there's something you just don't disagree with.
First of all,
there's a huge difference there.
Well, JD, let me explain it to you as well. I never said Donald Trump was being impeached for being a bad person. Ian, have I ever said that? No.
You did. You brought up.
No, I didn't. I never said that. No, Ian. No, excuse me. You're not gonna say. Pot him down. This is how the show works, Ian. If you say something that is wrong or a lie, I'm going to call you out on it, and you're not going to talk over me. I never said that President Trump was being impeached for being a bad person. Now, I do believe he is a bad person, but let me just get it through your thick ears. The reason why Donald Trump is being impeached is for that phone call, and it is for obstruction, for not allowing witnesses to testify. Obstruction with Congress and withholding aid, at least that is what the Democrats believe, and it is what I believe. Now, I will pod you back up, but you are wrong, okay? So don't talk over me and say you think you heard something that I said that I didn't say. Go.
Okay.
No, it's not okay, but go ahead.
Oh, fair enough. I'm sorry. It's not okay. You are the host.
No, it's not okay to say things that are not factually accurate and put words in my mouth.
I understand. I am conceding to you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Let's have a calm conversation. You were talking about President Clinton.
Yes.
And you were making it sound like, and this is what is frustrating me about the discussions about the impeachment and how this is such a solemn thing, and we need to do this. And comparisons with President Clinton fail because he was not impeached over an affair. He was not impeached over what happened with Monica Lewinsky.
He lied because he lied.
He didn't just lie. He lied under oath.
I understand.
We know why he got impeached.
Hold, please, let me finish. I'll make 3 points, and then you can talk all you want. He lied to a grand jury. That's called perjury.
Okay, we know that.
Crime.
We know that.
He suborned perjury.
We know that.
Okay, so those are actual crimes.
Do you not understand the? Okay, hold on a second, Ian. Do you not understand the correlation?
I have one more point to make, and then I swear you can say all you want.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
The obstruction of Congress. If you go back to the United States versus Holder, or the Senate versus the Holder case, Holder was found to have obstructed Congress at the behest.
Okay, you're killing me, Ian. All right,
yeah,
Ian, you're killing me.
It's like paint dry
the
over here.
reason why I played the Bill Clinton stuff is because I was making a point about the president's character. When Donald Trump does something wrong, it could be anything at his presidency. If he attacks a woman based on her looks, if he attacks John McCain because he was captured at war, any of the things that he's done in the last 2 years, and every day he could apologize for something, he never does it. He doesn't own it. So regardless of what the crime is, regardless of why Bill Clinton apologized, the point I was trying to make on the show, Ian, which clearly you didn't get, and you made stuff up about me, by the way, that I didn't say to start the show, is that Bill Clinton actually owned it and apologized. Donald Trump has never apologized for anything. It was a perfect phone call. He's the perfect man. He's the perfect president, and I'm sick of it.
He was making an example of how Bill Clinton handled the situation better than Donald Trump.
No, what Ian was doing was I think this is the gist of it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty with Ian. He thinks that obstruction of Congress and also abuse of power are not, quote-unquote, crimes that President Trump should be impeached for, and he's just wrong.
Yeah,
he's
and
just
by
wrong.
the way, and by the way,
they're impeachable offenses.
And by the way, I never said that the reason why the president was impeached because he's a bad guy. That's just a stupid comment. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you're next on the Vegas Take. I got about a minute for you, Matt. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Matt?
So real quick, guys, just for clarification, on obstruction of the obstruction charge, you guys do understand that is the president's congressional constitution. He has the right to basically reject the subpoenas and take those to the Supreme Court. That's what he's done. That's what Obama did. So when you say obstruction,
Obama,
we're not there yet. They never ruled on it. That is his right. So when you subpoena witnesses, the president has a constitutional right to reject those, and he appeals it.
Let me ask you this, Matt.
it's just wrong.
Matt, let me ask you this. First of all, I don't agree, but let me ask you this. What about intimidating witnesses? All right,
No, it's not a fact.
It's not a fact. But
It's
let me.
not.
What
It is a fact. It's a constitutional fact.
Why would they have a basis to bring the charge of obstruction of Congress to President Trump in an impeachment if he can just do it? I don't understand what the point you're trying to make. You're just wrong. You're flat out wrong.
So again.
Yeah, you're just wrong. Okay, why would they be able to bring that charge?
We got to take a break. We got to take a break. Matt, you are wrong.
Doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's not correct.
Yes.
Thanks for the call, man.
All right, here's what we're going to do.
Call, man.
Coming up next, we're going to be speaking with the former governor of Massachusetts, and he is a Democratic presidential candidate. Listen, we will, and that is Deval Patrick. He'll be coming up next, but we are going to take more of your calls in the 10 a.m. hour. In fact, in the 10 a.m. hour, we will. I guess what I'm trying to say is we won't rush through some phone calls. We'll try to take as many calls as we can and give people a little bit more time in the 10 a.m. hour. But we have the former governor of Massachusetts, presidential candidate Deval Patrick, coming up next. We're going to ask him about this. What does he think about this impeachment inquiry and much more? Coming up next, you're listening to the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, rolling out the red carpet for hour number 2. Sharp and Shapiro. We got a jam-packed studio here at Campaign Year. We got C-Win. Of course, it's Wednesdays, winning with C-Win. So,
Winning. We
that's
are
right.
winning.
Oh, that's right. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, you heard this story about these little cowboy hats that are being pasted on top of pigeons. Well, the woman who is partially responsible for finding 2 of those pigeons and taking the hats off their heads will be joining us coming up here in a little bit. Chris Kattan, very funny comedian, hour number 3. So stay tuned for that. Also, I want to thank one of our very, very lovely listeners. Usually I get hate mail. This is much better than hate mail. We actually have a loyal listener, Marge, who sent us some cheese and crackers, and we appreciate that, Marge. Thank you for being a loyal listener and a supporter of the show. We really do appreciate you. So I want to talk a little bit more about what is a very historic day. We just had Governor Deval Patrick on the show, former governor of Massachusetts, running as a presidential candidate, of course, on the Democratic side. And Donald Trump tweeting out this morning, "Can you believe that I will be impeached today by the radical left? Do nothing Democrats. I did nothing wrong. A terrible thing. Read the transcripts. This should never happen to another president again. Say a prayer." And he writes this letter yesterday that I thought was atrocious. And we're taking your phone calls, by the way, now at 702 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. So the president writes this letter yesterday. It was a 12-year-old temper tantrum letter, although I'm sure he would call it a perfect letter that was sent to Nancy Pelosi. So Jake Tapper reacted to this letter on CNN. I thought it was an appropriate reaction. Have a listen to this.
And one of the things it says, he says, President says that this is all about Democrats not able to get over his win in 2016. About Pelosi, he says, you view democracy as your enemy.
Yep.
And then, honestly, this is almost like a letter that Kim Jong-un wrote. Like, I mean, in terms
Yeah.
just like the hyperbole.
Yes,
It's
and
like
the florid
really,
nature of
really
it.
strong.
A lot of good adjectives.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, Jake Tapper's absolutely right. It's like an evil dictator. The way the wording that he uses in this letter. And it goes back to what I said earlier. And if you missed the first hour, we started off the show by playing some Bill Clinton audio. The day before Bill Clinton was impeached, he gave a heartfelt apology. And I believed him when he said he felt horrible that he misled the country as far as the sexual relationship he had with Monica Lewinsky. The president has never owned up to anything in his life. He doesn't take responsibility for anything in his life. He's had yes men around him his whole life, and he thinks the rules do not apply to him. Well, guess what, Mr. President? There's a reason why you are getting impeached. There's also a reason why, and you can make the argument George W. Bush made a lot of mistakes as president, but he was not impeached. Barack Obama was not impeached. There's a reason for that, because they didn't do anything to get impeached. Okay, you did. The number to call, 702-257-5396, is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to William. William, you are first up on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, my friend.
Hey, I just, this letter that the president wrote to Nancy Pelosi, it's childish. And, I'm not a supporter of either side. But what I will say is, if everything that's coming out, the way that all of the wiretaps and everything were approved, has all been illegally and also through deception and lies. Why is nobody, or I'm not saying nobody, but if you're somebody who's down the middle, wouldn't you say that the way that all of this was done was also incorrect? And if this was a person who had committed a crime and the police had illegally searched their premises and found a nuclear bomb, this person will be acquitted due to.
Well, William, here's my response to that, William. There is no evidence to support the fact that the FBI illegally spied on the president of the United States. If there was proof of that, then I would agree with you, but there isn't, so it's academic.
Well, I'm talking about the warrants that they got to look into it. They omitted information. They changed information. That this guy was working for the CIA. That's the reason he was in Russia. This kind of stuff, and it's all stupid. I know that. But the point is
are you talking about the warrants granted by the Obama administration to spy on him in New York? And
you talking about the FISA warrants? Is that what you're talking about? The whole FISA situation? Yeah. Oh well, that. Yeah, but that's not really academic. That has nothing to do with the impeachment of the president of the United States. I don't really understand what
he's just saying. There's a double standard,
president, right? Aren't they using that information to impeach the president?
Well, it's been already established, yes, that there were errors in judgment with respect to some lower level people in the FBI or people in the FBI. Period.
And James Comey
but it's
made
not
that
something
statement.
that rose to a level that is scandalous by any stretch of the imagination, or it's something that is even on the level of the impeachment of the president. I don't really understand.
Number to call if you want to join the program.
Yeah, thanks, William.
That number is 702-257-5396. Again, that number 257-5396 if you want to join in on the discussion. Of course, a historic day as the president of the United States will be impeached. Let's go to Gilbert. Gilbert, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, Gilbert.
What's up, Gilbert?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Real quick, earlier you said that it's not Donald Trump the policy, it's more the person you don't like.
Sure.
And I understand that. But what I'm conflicted with is why you have Michael Avenatti on your radio show, because he has a lot of conflicting things on him.
Sure. Let me respond to that. Sure. Let me respond to that statement. First of all, as far as I'm concerned, Michael Avenatti, first of all, he's not the president of the United States, number one. Number two, he's never been convicted of a crime. Number three, he's got over $1 billion of settlements. He's a great guest. He's a smart guy. And number four, Michael Avenatti didn't decapitate 2 people, but if O.J. Simpson gave us a call today and said he wanted to come on our show, I would absolutely let him come on as well.
And number 5,
we would
too.
give him a nice, fair platform to do so. We wouldn't have a biased platform.
And
We would
number
let him,
5, Michael
state his
Avenatti, the
case.
reason we have him on the show, right, is we get political opinions from Michael, okay?
Yeah.
We don't talk, we're not, when Michael Avenatti's on the show, the discussion is not about Michael Avenatti's own personal legal issues or anything like that. The discussion is always about the current political situation, right? And Michael's opinion on that.
And I would argue his insight is as good as anybody's.
Absolutely.
Do you mind if I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I understand your point. He's an opinionated person, and he has stature, like in his community.
Exactly.
But at the same time, though, he has a lot of baggage, and I don't really want to hear from a person who has baggage. I'd rather have you guys have a better guest, because when you put on Michael Avenatti, that takes
What's your favorite radio show, Gilbert?
Coast to Coast AM.
Okay, I've never heard of that show. Give me a show that I've heard of before.
No.
Okay, one more radio show that I like.
A distinguished TV guest or radio guest. I'll even give you TV. What is your favorite show that you watch or listen to?
My favorite show used to be a Bill O'Reilly show.
Okay, so you're okay. So
Bill
hold on.
O'Reilly, no baggage.
Hold on, Chris. Chris, hold your horses. So you mean to tell me, Gilbert, that you don't think Bill O'Reilly has ever had a guest on his show that has had baggage before? Is that your position?
No, I'm saying Bill O'Reilly did have. Yeah, of course he did. But
Okay, and what about the host himself, Bill O'Reilly? According to one of his kids, threw the mother of his child down a flight of stairs. According to one of his kids.
Got what he got.
So you're
How many settlements did Bill O'Reilly settle out of court?
So here's the point.
Sexual
Here's the
harassment,
point
too.
I'm trying to make, Gilbert. You just called into the show saying that Michael Avenatti has quote unquote baggage. Yet you just told me your favorite TV show was Bill O'Reilly, who has 10 times the baggage that Michael Avenatti has.
I get it.
Well,
I get it.
So why would you say that?
So why would you say it then on the air?
Okay, I know I can contradict myself. I get it, but I was being honest with you.
You know what?
Being honest.
Okay, well, you know what? If you're willing to admit that you contradicted yourself, Gilbert, then I respect you, and I appreciate you calling in, Gilbert. Thank you for admitting that, and we appreciate the phone call. Thank you.
Good call, Gilbert.
I just want to tell anybody that calls in here, as you guys are noticing, have your facts straight. Be respectful.
I will fact check you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it happens immediately.
And campaign. It's not even that hard to fact check them, right?
No,
I mean,
I'm talking about
it takes us a whole 2 seconds in our brain
on your head
to rearrange
Bill
what they're
O'Reilly.
saying.
Yeah, what's your favorite? I knew he was going to say somebody
was
on Fox.
classic.
Bill O'Reilly, okay, the king of sexual harassment, who can't get laid, so he sexually harasses
He
women.
has baggage, Gucci bags.
You want
He
to talk
has-
about baggage?
Yeah.
257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Morning, gents.
Good morning.
So I think after a call you had earlier, it has to do with fact checking. And you guys are totally wrong in trying to correct him. What he was saying was executive privilege. And it is the president's right to throw it on the Supreme Court to say if Congress can go after him for anything.
All right,
That's
so
what
He doesn't
executive
have the
privilege
right. He doesn't have the right, though, to block people in his administration from testifying
He does.
to
You know what
Congress.
executive
That's why it's
privilege is,
that's why it's called obstruction
hang on,
of
Chris.
Congress.
Chris, Mike, hang on.
Hang on. I mean,
Okay,
I'm just trying to
I know.
point out the facts to the gentleman
I
on the
know
line.
that. He's going to disagree with you on that, but I'm going to ask
Well,
him
I don't know why
I'm going to
he
ask him.
shouldn't.
I'm going to ask him a very
So
specific
doorknob,
question.
do you know what executive privilege is?
Wait, did you just say doorknob?
Yeah, to the other guy that.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mike. Okay.
yes, I do know what executive privilege
Okay,
is.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, then why
I
don't you
do.
explain it to us?
Well, I'm not going to. That's not really necessary
don't know
given
what
these.
you're
Okay,
talking
Mike.
about.
Wait, you're the one that called in and
buddy.
are you're the one calling in, spouting off executive privilege with respect to the president of the United States who's getting impeached
Okay,
today
then what
because of
basis
obstruction
do
of
you
Congress,
have?
and you're telling me to explain
All right,
what
can I-
what it
Yeah,
is?
going
Come
on.
on, man.
Explain
Okay,
it to
Mike. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, Mike. Now I'm going to have a brief conversation with you, and don't call me a name because we're going to hang up on you, Mike.
Oh, come on.
okay,
You guys call people's names.
okay,
all
Mike.
day.
I don't
Mike,
call you a name.
Okay, Chris, stop for a second.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm talking to you now. Okay.
Okay,
I didn't
so
call you a
talk.
name. Okay. Well, thank you for giving me that opportunity. It's not your show. It's
Well,
mine.
you probably
When the
deserve
president,
it.
okay, are you done? The president of the United States has intimidated witnesses that have been on the stand. I could give you several specific examples of intimidation.
what I'm talking
Well, that's what I'm talking about now. So be quiet and listen, doorknob.
No,
okay,
you the
pot him
one
down.
that
Pot him
said
down. Pot him down. Pod Mike the doorknob, the right-wing bias buffoon. Pot him
Get him,
down.
Brian.
Here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about witnesses that are on the stand and the president tweets out stuff while they're testifying, attacking their character, attacking their record, and it's called intimidation of witnesses. Now, what is the legal term of that, doorknob Mike? I'm going to pod you up one more time, you dumb doorknob. Why don't you tell me right now, what is the definition of somebody that intimidates a witness legally? Now I'm going to ask you a question, since you seem to know everything, Mr. Intelligent Doorknob. I'm going to give you one chance to answer the question, and one chance only. Answer the question. Not to sound like John McEnroe. I'm spitting all over the microphone. Yes. Explain to me, if you intimidate a witness, what is that crime? Answer the question, doorknob.
Well, after you wipe off the microphone from your
answer the question. Answer the question. I don't care if that's the reason why you answer the question.
Mike, it would take 7 or 8 times to wipe that microphone off. It's
answer
disgusting.
the question, Mike.
That's not why I called.
Yeah, because you're an ignoramus. Get off the show, you ignorant buffoon.
Hey, good call, Mike.
You don't call one of my in-studio guests a doorknob, and then you're too dumb enough to even answer a question. Go back to Alabama. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to L. L, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, L?
Good morning, my good top friend.
Good morning.
Listen.
Just don't call me doorknob.
You know what? Have we ever had a president who used this executive privilege model his whole 4 years, or however long he's been in, has been executive privileges claims. This man is an absolute joke. And the problem I have when I'm listening to the FISA and all this, and it's wrong, but these were just insiders who were terrified of somebody like this getting in office. They expected this. They knew it was going to happen, and they just didn't know what to do. So they started doing all these things, and I can certainly understand. We've realized our greatest fears with this idiot, and now it's terrifying to see how we're going to get him out of there. And I don't know even if this is going to work.
Well, Elle, I hate to break it to you.
It's not going to work.
It's probably not going to work. But you know what? There are some people that have made a good point. Listen, we know this is going to pass the Senate. He's still going to be the president at least until 2020. But here's the point I will make.
And if it doesn't pass the Senate, or if it does pass the Senate, and if he does get impeached, there'll be riots. There'll be civil unrest.
No, there won't be riots. I'll tell you, there has to be two sides.
There 100% will be, Chris.
JD, there has to be two.
You will see militias all over the country. I promise you, it's going to take.
Going after who?
No.
If there's going to be a civil war, there has to be a civil war, there has to be two sides.
I'm not talking about a civil war. I'm saying there's going to be riots. There's going to be problems.
Well, let me just make this point, Elle, and then I'll let you respond. Okay. My point is this: even if it doesn't pass the Senate, and we know it won't, it is still on the president's record. It tarnishes his reputation. Clearly, it has gotten to him based on the letter yesterday and the tweet today. It tarnishes his record as the president. He has been impeached, Elle, and for that reason and that reason alone, I think it does hold him accountable, and it is worth it.
It's cutting down his ego.
I agree with you. And do you know how many people showed up for the rally last night? Because I really was tempted to go.
They, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because they were all across the country yesterday, and the president likes to.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I do too, Ellen. By the way, we appreciate the call.
Guys.
Good to hear from you. The president.
Thanks, Elle.
The president likes to brag about the campaign trail. He likes to brag about all the people that are packed into these arenas to hear him speak. It's funny he didn't tweet about all the protests that were going on throughout the country yesterday. Funny how he didn't talk about that. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Tony?
Hey guys, if you from a independent voter standpoint here, if you want to talk about stuff like executive privilege or abuse of Congress or obstruction of Congress, I mean, look, man, Eric Holder. Let's bring in Eric Holder. Let's bring in Barack Obama. Let's bring in all these guys, because I'll tell you straight up, none of those guys would even respond to subpoenas and tell me that I'm wrong. And that's all I got.
Whataboutism? We're doing whataboutism now?
Elle's probably sexually frustrated, or whatever her name was.
I'm sorry? What did you just say?
You talking about Lynch, Loretta Lynch?
No, he said Elder.
No, he said the caller was
you're
sexually frustrated.
He was talking about the caller.
Well, look, I mean,
the previous caller.
There's a lot of whataboutism going on
Tony,
here.
Is that all?
Yeah,
but
Tony,
and
then he hangs on the phone.
There kind of has to be in this situation, considering that Barack Obama was the former president of the United States.
First of all, the last caller
but
showed
there's been no evidence whatsoever that Barack Obama or anybody has been involved in any of this.
First of all, what that last guy said, he took a page from the Donald Trump playbook and insulting a woman and making a sexual reference. You are disgusting.
Yeah, that was actually a great call before that part. That was totally unnecessary.
Totally.
No, before that part, it was a great call.
No,
but
here's why
taking a shot at Elle for no reason whatsoever is ridiculous.
Number to call 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call 257 257-5396. Yes, that is whataboutism. We're not talking about Barack Obama and subpoenas and Eric Holder. I didn't even vote for Barack Obama. I'm not a fan of Eric Holder, but that is academic to this specific discussion. The only reason why I brought up Bill Clinton and the comments that he made is for one simple reason and one simple reason only.
To embarrass Donald Trump.
No.
Yes, to make an example of Donald Trump for not being as
do you disagree with that?
Apologetic about the situation as Bill Clinton, who actually received, again, oral sex in the office and then lied about it in a court of law.
Well, all right. So how many? Why is it that like the people right now who like the Democrats, they will go on oath and stuff, right? And let's talk about this. All the Republicans, nobody wants to go and have and go into the Congress right now and.
That's a very good point.
And none of them want to go.
You know why?
Oath.
You know why?
Because they can be held accountable.
Because they're going to perjure themselves.
Right.
That's why.
Exactly.
It's the same. It's the reason why Donald Trump won't go under oath. By the way, Bill Clinton went under oath. So for people out there that want to, talk about Bill Clinton, he went under oath. He lied under oath. And guess what? If Donald Trump went under oath, I guarantee you the same thing would happen.
I would argue it's because of what happened to Cohen and Manafort and.
What do you?
Et cetera, et cetera. JD. Which actually, and you could say, why is Michael Avenatti on our show? Michael Avenatti is probably 80% responsible as far as why Michael Cohen is in prison right now.
I would say 99% responsible. 257-5396 is the number to call. Yeah. Let's go to James. James, you're next on the Vegas Take.
James, what's happening?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, James?
How you doing, man?
Good.
I called y'all yesterday as an African American voter who voted for Trump,
and that was a great call.
I voted for. I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
I voted for Barack Obama the first term. But like a lot of people, I grew up in Chicago. I knew Barack Obama before he ran. I knew who he was. I knew he was a fraud because I knew him from the South Side. I actually knew him from the South Side of Chicago in his early days as a community organizer.
Why is Obama a fraud?
He's a fraud. Let me tell you, man. If you really knew, if you think that you can get voted to any place in Chicago without the backing of Farrakhan and Jesse Jackson in the black community on the South Side of Chicago, you are sorely mistaken, my friend. Okay? You have to get their blessing to get elected to any office.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then.
He never was he in public office though in the city of Chicago, or was the first public office he held was as a senator, right, in Illinois? I thought he wasn't.
No, he was a state congressman in Illinois, and his base was the South Side of Chicago.
All right, so let me ask you a question, James.
I'm not even here to say this. What I'm here to say is the Democrats, man, if they would have came out and said, "Hey, man, we're going to work with Trump. We don't agree with what he's got to say, but." We're going to work with him and try to see what we agree with.
And you don't think any of them have done that when it comes to gun control, when it goes to health care? You don't think any Democrats?
I mean, you think Schumer and Pelosi have played ball at all?
Well, no, the call. What you're doing is you're making a dream scenario of what you think the Democrats. I'm talking to the caller, JD. The caller is doing. You're making a dream scenario of what you think the Democrats should have done to keep Donald Trump from being impeached. Is that what you're trying to say?
James, I'm going to let you finish your statement, but for the record, you started off this conversation by attacking Barack Obama and calling him a fraud. Have you ever
attacking Barack Obama because I know more about him than you will ever know.
Okay, well,
he was the president of the United States.
Okay,
we all know about him.
Okay, James, let me tell you something. Okay,
we all know about him.
Hold on, James.
I worked on this campaign the first.
All right, pot him down for a second. Pot him down for a second. He's not going to like me interrupting him, but let me be very clear with you, James, on this one. Okay, one thing I will say about Barack Obama: good husband, good father, a decent man. Now, if you want to call him a fraud, that's fine. But to attack Barack Obama and his character and to be silent on Donald Trump tells me, James, that you have zero credibility. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your relationship was with Barack Obama. But what I can tell you is this. Barack Obama is a decent man.
Why do you expect him to be negative about Donald Trump when he's making a point about Obama? You didn't give him the opportunity to talk about Donald Trump.
Pot him back up.
You can't say he's not credible.
Okay, let's give him that opportunity.
Unless you give him the opportunity to talk about Trump, and then he gives you a reason to say you're not credible.
Well, I'm going to give him that opportunity, but he started off this conversation not talking about Donald Trump, talking about Barack
James,
Obama.
If you have something smoking gun about Barack Obama, please, I would like to hear it.
All right, James, what do you think about Donald Trump? Go ahead, James. We're going to pod you back up.
Okay, let me explain to you. I'm going to tell you about Donald Trump, but let me explain to you where I'm coming from. My family has been in the politics in the South Side of Chicago.
I don't care.
Look, we understand there's corrupt people in Illinois in politics. We get that. We all know that. We get that. We understand that. I don't understand what and by the way, you say you make this seem like you know Barack Obama way more than all of us do. The guy was president in 8 years of this country. We all know a lot about Barack Obama.
James, unfortunately, I'm up against a break, my man. I gave you an opportunity, and then you're telling me about your family's politics,
I mean,
I don't really care. I don't really care about that. I gave you an opportunity to comment on Donald Trump. We gave you fair time to do that. I even potted you back up, and you weren't able to do it.
He was making his point, and you said that you don't care. You didn't give him enough time. You should call back again and have this conversation.
No, I didn't say. I gave him an opportunity to talk about Donald Trump, and then he took the opportunity to talk about his family. And I'm sure he has such a tremendous amount of experience, and he was very close with Barack Obama. Thank you for the call, James. Coming up next.
Call, James.
Coming up next, we're going to be talking to Mariah Hillman. She is from Lofty Hopes. She is basically the person that is responsible for taking these hats off of these pigeons. This is a crazy story.
Bless her.
We'll talk to her coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Tape.